killing 13 of 18 on board. The aircraft was owned by BOAC, but was operated by Qantas. On the 15th of February, 1942, Consolidated Liberator CIGAGDR was shot down by Royal Air Force Supermarine Spitfire in error over the English Channel near Plymouth, England. All of crew and 4 passengers, including Townsend Griffiths, were killed. The RAF increased aircraft reconnaissance training in response to this incident. On the 28th of February, 1942, Short Empire GATZ Circe was shot down over the Pacific between Silacap and Broome by a Japanese fighter, killing all 22 on board. This crash is the worst ever accident involving the Short Empire. The aircraft was operating for Qantas. 23. On the 22nd of March, 1942, Short Empire GAUF struck debris while landing and crashed at Port Darwin, Australia, killing 2 of 11 passengers on board. All 4 crew survived. 24. On the 24th of September, 1942, Short Empire GAFCZ Clare broke up and sank following a forced landing in the Atlantic off Senegal due to engine failure. All 19 on board died. 25. On the 9th of January, 1943, Short S.26 GAFCK Golden Horn crashed in the Tagus River near Lisbon while attempting an emergency landing due to an in-flight fire, killing 13 of 15 on board. The aircraft was on a test flight following replacement of an engine. 26. On the 15th of February, 1943, de Havilland Flamingo GAFI crashed at Asmara, Eritrea after going into a vertical dive from 800 feet, 240 m, during a test flight, killing both pilots. 27. On the 23rd of March, 1943, Consolidated PBY Catalina G8 de Gable crashed on landing at Poole Harbour during a training flight, killing 3 of 6 on board. 28. On the 4th of April, 1943, Lockheed Model 18 Lodester, C-56B, GHH was possibly shot down via Junkers Ju-88 of Luftwaffe 10 /NJG-3 and crashed 31 mi off Skagen, Denmark, killing all 7 on board. 29. On the 1st of June, 1943, Flight 777, a Douglas DC-3 GAGBB was shot down over the Bay of Biscay by 8 German Junkers Ju-88s of kilogram 40. All 17 crew and passengers were killed, including actor Leslie Howard. 30. There has been widespread speculation that the downing was an attempt to kill British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. 31. The aircraft was owned and operated by KLM, flying for BOAC. On the 16th of June, 1943, Lockheed Hudson 4FK459 stalled and crashed while turning for approach to Khartoum Civil Airport due to fuel starvation and engine failure, killing all 17 on board. The aircraft was an RAF military transport operating for BOAC. 32. On the 30th of June, 1943, Lockheed Hudson 4FK618 spiraled down and crashed near Khartoum, Sudan, killing all 16 on board. The aircraft, an RAF military transport operating for BOAC, was probably overloaded. 33. On the 28th of July, 1943, Short Sunderland 3GHs crashed into a hill in Dingle Peninsula near the village of Brandon in Ireland on a flight from Lisbon to Foynes. The crash killed 10 passengers and crew out of 25 on board. 34. On the 17th of August, 1943, de Havilland Mosquito GAGGF crashed near Glenshee, Perthshire. 35. On the 25th of October, 1943, de Havilland Mosquito GAGGG crashed near RAF Fagars. 35. On the 5th of November, 1943, short Sunderland 3G Ajab crashed in the desert 75 miles south-southwest of Sollum, Libya after a portion of the right wing and float separated following an in-flight fire probably caused by an electrical problem. All 19 on board died. 36. On the 17th of December, 1943, Lockheed Lodester GAD crashed into the Sea off Agars, Scotland on a flight from RAF Agars to Stockholm Bromma Airport. The accident killed all 10 passengers and crew on board the flight. 37. On the 3rd of January, 1944, de Havilland Mosquito GAGGD stalled on landing at St. Ennas, Sweden and was written off. 35. On the 19th of August, 1944, de Havilland Mosquito GAGKP crashed into the North Sea off Agars, 5. All 3 people on board were killed. 35. On the 29th of August, 1944, Lockheed C-60 GAG crashed after striking the top of Mount Kinnekull near Lidköping, Sweden, killing 11 of 15 on board. 38. On the 29th of August, 1944, de Havilland Mosquito GAGKR disappeared on a flight from Gothenburg, Sweden to RAF Agars with the loss of both crew. 35. On the 29th of November, 1944, Lockheed Lodester GAGBW struck the side of Kinangote Peak, Kenya while descending for Nairobi in bad weather, killing all 11 on board. The wreckage was found on the 1st of January 1945. 39. On the 21st of February, 1946, Consolidated Liberator 2 GHM crashed on landing at Charlottetown, Canada due to icing, killing 1 of 14 on board. 40. On the 23rd of March, 1946, Avro Lancastrian IGAGLX disappeared between Sri Lanka and the Cocos Islands with 10 on board. The aircraft was owned by BOAC, but was operated by Qantas. 41. On the 14th of August, 1946, Douglas Dakota 3 GAGHT crashed at Lucca Airport due to fuel starvation after the auxiliary fuel tanks were selected by mistake, killing 1 of 5 on board. 42. On the 20th of August, 1946, Avro Lancastrian 1 GAGMF crashed at Rouen, France when the crew failed to correctly establish the aircraft's position during descent, killing 8 of 9 on board. 43. On the 11th of January, 1947, Douglas Dakota 3 GAGJX crashed at Stoting, Kent whilst on an international scheduled flight from Heathrow to West Africa via Bordeaux. A number of attempts were made to divert in poor weather. The aircraft crashed whilst attempting to land at Linden. 8 people were killed and 8 injured of the 5 crew and 11 passengers. On the 16th of July, 1947, Avro York C.1 GAGNR crashed at AZ Zubair, Iran due to pilot and ATC errors, killing all 6 crew. All 12 passengers survived. 44. On the 23rd of August, 1947, short Sandringham 5 GHZB crashed on landing at Bahrain Marine Air Base due to the pilot using an incorrect procedure for landing and takeoff, killing 10 of 26 on board. 45. On the 19th of November, 1947, short Sunderland 3 GAGHW struck high ground at Brightstone Down in poor visibility due to navigation errors by the pilot, killing 1 of 4 on board. 46. On the 14th of July, 1948, Douglas Dakota 4 GAGKN crashed into cloud-covered cliffs near Toulon, France, killing all 6 on board. 47. The 5th of September, 1948, the short S.25 Sunderland 3 with registration GAGU crashed on takeoff at Surabaya. The port float assembly collapsed on takeoff. The aircraft was turned over. 48. 1950s, On the 26th of May, 1952, Flight 251-49, operated by Handley Page Hermes 4 GALDN, Force landed 71 mi from Atta, Mauritania, due to fuel starvation after the aircraft had flown off Cowes for several hours as a result of navigation and pilot errors. The aircraft had taken off from Tripoli, Libya, with the intended destination of Kano, Nigeria. All on board survived, but first officer died of heat stroke 5 days later while awaiting rescue. On the 26th of October, 1952, BOAC Flight 115DH Comet 1 GALYZ, the first Comet taken into service only the month before, crashed on takeoff at Ciampino Airport, Rome. There were no casualties and Italian investigators concluded pilot error as cause of this crash. The investigators found scrapes on the runway for over 650 yards, combined with the pilot report half not getting speed up after rotation and referencing the BOAC Comet manual which stated, at 80 knots the nose should be raised until the rumble of the nose wheel ceases. Care should be taken not to overdo this and adopt an exaggerated tail-down attitude with consequent poor acceleration. The conclusion was made, an error of judgment by the captain in not appreciating the excessive nose-up attitude of the aircraft during takeoff. 50. On the 2nd of May, 1953, Flight 783/057, a de Havilland Comet IGALYV crashed 25 miles northwest of Calcutta, India, after suffering structural failure while climbing through 7,500 feet in a severe storm. The crash occurred shortly after takeoff from Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose International Airport, then known as Dum Dum Airport, on a flight to Delhi, and killed all 43 passengers and crew on board. 51. On the 10th of January, 1954, Flight 781, a de Havilland Comet IGALYP, took off from Ciampino Airport in Rome, Italy, en route to Heathrow Airport in London, England. As it was reaching cruising altitude it suffered an explosive decompression and crashed into the Tyrrhenian Sea near Elba, killing all 35 on board. On the 13th of March, 1954, a Lockheed L749, a Constellation, Chialan, crashed at Kallang Airport, Singapore, when it landed short and struck a seawall after a flight from Jakarta, killing 33 people out of 40 passengers and crew on board. Pilot fatigue was cited as a contributing cause, and inadequate rescue services were implicitly blamed for some of the fatalities. On the 8th of April, 1954, de Havilland Comet IGALYY was operating South African Airways Flight 201 at night when it suffered what was almost certainly an explosive decompression at altitude and crashed into the sea near the island of Stromboli, off the Italian coast near Naples. The wreckage was never recovered, but all known evidence pointed to a repeat of recent accident to GALYP. The aircraft was operating for South African Airways on charter from BOAC, with an SAA crew. Early on Christmas Day, the 25th of December, 1954, at 0330 hours, a BOAC Boeing 377 Stratocruiser G also crashed on landing at Prestwick, killing 28 of the 36 passengers and crew on board. The aircraft was en route from London to New York when, on approach to an intermediate stop at Prestwick, it entered a steep descent before leveling out too late and too severely, hitting the ground short of the runway. The crash was attributed to a number of factors, including pilot fatigue. The captain was well over his duty limit due to the flight being delayed, the landing lights at Prestwick being out of action due to repair, and the first officer either not hearing a command from the captain for landing lights, which may have helped judge the low cloud base, or mistakenly hitting the flaps, causing the aircraft to stall. 52. On the 21st of September, 1955, Canadair Argonaut GALHL crashed during a storm at Tripoli International Airport after a flight from London and Rome. The aircraft, which was making its 4th attempt to land in the severe weather conditions, struck trees short of the runway. The accident and ensuing fire killed 15 passengers and crew out of 47 people on board. 53. On the 24th of June, 1956, Canadair Argonaut GALH crashed after taking off from Malamamine Yukino International Airport on a flight to Tripoli International Airport. The aircraft had reached 200 foot when it encountered a microburst, causing an abrupt loss of speed and altitude. With Argonaut barely 20 feet above the ground, the captain regained control, but too late to avoid colliding with a large baobab tree. The crash killed 32 passengers and crew out of 45 people on board. On the 24th of December, 1958, a Bristol Britannia 312 GAOVD crashed during a test flight near Wington, England, killing 9 of 12 on board. 1960s. On the 5th of March, 1966, Flight 911, a Boeing 707 GAF, crashed on Mount Fuji after experiencing clear air turbulence. All 124 on board died. On the 9th of April, 1968, Flight 712-54, a Rolls-Royce Conway engine exploded and broke off front wing of a Boeing 707G Air Whiskey Echo, following takeoff from London Heathrow Airport, causing an uncontained wing fire. A successful emergency landing at Heathrow was carried out, but a stewardess and 4 passengers were killed and 38 other passengers were injured as the fire spread during evacuation. The stewardess, Barbara Jane Harrison, was awarded a posthumous George Cross for her part in helping passengers escape. 1970s. On the 9th of September, 1970, Flight 775, operated by Vickers VC-10 GASGN, became the first British plane to be hijacked as part of the Dawson's Field hijackings. In the early hours of the 22nd of July, 1971, BOAC Flight 045 from London to Khartoum was ordered by air control in Malta, and allegedly forced to obey the order by Libyan military jets, to land at Benghazi at 3.30 am. Sudanese rebel leader Boubacar el-Nur, announced as President a week before in a political coup, and his companion Major Farouk Hamadullah, were instructed to leave the aircraft, or the fighter planes would bomb it. El-Nur quickly agreed to leave, in order to save the lives of the other passengers. He and Hamadullah were quickly taken off the aircraft to be held at gunpoint. Despite strong British government protests to the Sudan about the outrage, and an appeal to President Nimeri for clemency, the men were both executed within a week. 55. On the 3rd of August, 1971, BOAC Flight 600, operated by a Boeing 747 from Montreal to London, was diverted to Denver, Colorado due to a bomb hoax inspired by a TV film Doomsday Flight. The aircraft traveled 3,200 miles out of its way to land in Denver. The supposed bomb was thought to be triggered by flying below 5,000 feet. Denver's airport was above 5,000 feet. 56. Non-fatal accidents. 1940s. On the 14th of September, 1940, Short Silla GACJJ Silla was destroyed in a windstorm while parked at RAF Drim, Scotland. 57. On the 6th of October, 1940, de Havilland Albatross GAFD Elfingal crashed at Puckalakirch, Gloucestershire during a ferry flight. All 3 on board survived. 58. On the 24th of November, 1940, Douglas DC-3G Agby and Armstrong Whitworth Ensign 2G Artquer destroyed on the ground at Whitchurch Airfield during a German daylight bombing. 59. 60. On the 20th of December, 1940, de Havilland Albatros GFD Frobisher was destroyed on the ground by a German air raid while parked at Whitchurch Airfield. 61. On the 15th of February, 1941, Short Empire GAFCX Clyde was wrecked in a gale at Lisbon.